Hey y'all. Thank you for tuning in today. This is my first video blog, so I'm a little nervous. Bear with me. My name is Whitney, also known as Gracefully Unraveling. Today I am going to be talking about leaving an abusive relationship. And first I'm going to be starting by telling you a little bit about my experiences. It makes me kind of anxious when I talk about it. So here we go. I dated a man, we'll call him Nate, for over 2 horrific years. He was charismatic, charming, handsome, funny, and a great cook. That's how he got me. Lavender cheesecake. Oh my god. And I knew that his facade could not be real, but I let myself fall for it. I let myself think that he was a good guy, even though my gut was telling me he was not. And by 5 months into the relationship, he really showed me his true colors, which felt like it was too late by then because we had moved in together, and I just felt caught in his web. I left him so many times in that 2-year frame, and I always went back. He always turned me back to him. Always. He was such a charmer. And he knew the right buttons to push to make me feel guilty. And to make me question whether I deserved the treatment that I was getting. The cops were called numerous times. He was arrested twice. I never pressed charges on him. The second time he was arrested, it was pretty bad. We got in a huge fight and he tore the house apart and he beat the crap out of me. I remember him holding me up against the closet doors in our bedroom and punching me in the side of my head, saying, "Do you like to be hit like a man? You're gonna act like a man? I'll hit you like a man." Because I decided to fight back and try to protect myself that time. I should have ran. Anyway, the second time, one of the officers actually showed up to the court. He showed up before our court hearing, and he wanted to talk to me. He asked me if I remembered the night that they came. He reminded me of the bruises on my face, neck, and back. He reminded me that the whole house was torn apart. Nate tried to set fire to my clothes, a pile of my clothes, and even the clothes I was wearing. I mean, he had turned over furniture and broken dishes. The house was completely destroyed. When the cops walked in, they asked what the hell had happened if this was all from one night. They could not believe it had all happened in one night. When they arrived on scene, Nate was outside pacing and yelling maniacally, of course. So he got put in the police car right away, thankfully. And they found me inside, huddling in the bathtub, hiding, scared, crying. The first thing they noticed was that Nate outweighed me by at least 100 pounds. We were going to the gym every day at that point, so I know he was stacked. I mean, he was pretty built. He was very muscular. And I was small at that time. I was about 100 pounds, 125. I was very, very petite, and that is one of the first things that the officers commented on. And even after he reminded me of all that stuff, I still didn't press charges. I still let Nate move right back in. I still took him right back. The cop was so disappointed. I remember when I stood up in the courtroom and said I would not be pressing charges. He just dropped his head and shook it. Honestly, I was stuck. Me and my family hadn't really been talking. I was dealing with a lot of really shady people. I owned a medical marijuana shop at the time, so I hung around with a lot of drug dealers. They said they were, medical marijuana dispensary owners, but let's face it, they were drug dealers. They weren't very friendly people, and they weren't people I should have been hanging out with, but they didn't come to help me either. They didn't help me at all. They laughed at me when I told them what was going on. Everyone just told me, why don't you just leave? It's not that easy. People don't understand. It's really not that easy to just leave. Honestly, the only reason that I left, the only reason that I got out of there was because someone cared enough to tell me that I deserved more. They told Nate that I deserved more. And they showed me that I deserved more. JD drove up in a blizzard that night. Well, actually, it wasn't the night of Nate got arrested. It was a different night. The night that we finally broke up. And I know that the only reason that Nate didn't destroy things and beat me up was because he knew JD was on his way. And he was scared. I probably would have died that night if JD hadn't come. Remembering that last night is so hard. And it wasn't the abuse of that night, because I didn't get hit that night. There was obviously emotional abuse, but I felt like I was losing everything. I was leaving my home that I paid for. I was leaving my job. I was leaving my friends, people that came to my dispensary. Yeah, they bought weed from me. They weren't really my friends. I just felt like I was losing a lot. And I didn't want to give up on Nate. I didn't want to believe that he was a monster. I really didn't. I thought I could help him, and that was the problem. You can't help people. You can't set out to change a person and help a person. Anyway, if JD had never came up that night and taken action and given me and my dog Chino a safe exit and a safe place to stay, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be alive today, and I know that. I cannot believe how lucky I am. I was able to get away from him. And I had help and love and support doing so. Sorry. It's just crazy. I think every day of how it could have gone differently if I hadn't reached out and told someone that I needed help. And if that person, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that JD responded and listened to me and helped me out of that situation. He's my husband now, and we have a beautiful 2-year-old son. But now I want to talk about what you can do to get out of an abusive relationship if you're in one. So make a plan. You need to be careful, because if your abuser finds out you're trying to leave, it could end really badly. They don't want you to leave. They want to keep you in any way that they can. Document everything secretly. not just for proof, but so you can read back and look and remember why you don't want to go back to that person. That helped me out so much, reading and remembering the things that Nate did to me. Because he would call and email and message me and say things that he knew would get my heart. Because he knew me. But I didn't fall for it. I'm so happy. You need to reach out to family and friends. Even if it's been a really long time. And even if you are ashamed, you need the support. And if they're really your friends and family, they'll find a way to help you. Other options. There are a ton of great national resources. First, the United Way. You dial 211 and you will be redirected to a local chapter of United Way. They have special services for those going through domestic violence. And in some areas, they even have special funds specifically to help victims get out. Even if neither of these things exist in your area, the United Way provides a lot of financial, healthcare, and educational assistance to communities. There is likely, very, very likely to be some overlap between the services that they offer and what you need. I definitely recommend trying to find a support group or a therapist very quickly. I took a little too long. And back to my point, there is also the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's always a free phone call away, and you can talk to them about anything from a physical escape plan to your departure or how you're going to get finances afterwards. Their number is 1-800-799-7233. And I guess last, I just want to tell you, this is the most important one. Don't ever, ever give up. Don't ever give up. Never stop fighting. You are worth it, and you do not, no one in this world deserves to be abused in any kind of way. I love you, and I hope that this reaches some of you, and it was really hard for me, so thank you for bearing with me through my stumbles and fumbles. And I plan on doing another video next week, so I hope you can tune into that, and I hope I've helped somebody. You guys are always welcome to send me a message through my Instagram page, Gracefully Unraveling. I have a Facebook Gracefully Unraveling page, and you can send an email to gracefullyunraveling@gmail.com. You can find all that information on my blog as well. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. Never give up. I'm rooting for you. I'm here. I'll be your cheerleader. So please, please, please keep fighting. And have a good day.